Welcome back, focused learners. Okay, so if you are gearing up for your exams and really need to lock in those crucial Tally Prime concepts, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're taking a highly structured, totally distraction-free journey through the core fundamentals. We're going to break down the interface, those essential shortcuts you have to memorize, and the underlying logic of the software. The goal? So you can walk into that test with absolute confidence. Let's dive right into this ultimate exam revision masterclass.
Here's the game plan for today. We'll kick things off with the interface and shortcuts, then tackle the go-to versus switch-to debate, which is a massive favorite for examiners, by the way. After that, we'll cover company creation, F11 features, and finally, wrap the whole thing up with an essential exam practice review.
All right, Section 1, Tally Prime Interface and Shortcuts. Let's get into the basic mechanics of how we actually navigate this software.
Now, before we touch a single button, we have to define what a company actually means in Tally Prime. If they ask you to define this on your exam, you'll want to remember this exact phrasing. A company is a data storage unit that maintains all financial records and extracts the required reports. It's basically your absolute foundation. I mean, you literally can't do anything in Tally without a company repository acting as your home base.
Notice how Tally structures its main navigation into a top menu and right buttons. The top menu has shortcuts like K for company, Y for data, and F1 for help. But listen closely because here is a major exam tip. Top menu buttons actually change context depending on whether you're looking at masters, vouchers, or reports. However, the right buttons like F2 for date and F3 for company stay completely constant across all screens. So if a question asks which menu is context sensitive, hit them with the top menu.
Let's lock in some of the most heavily tested keyboard shortcuts. You absolutely need to know these by heart. Alt plus G opens Go To. Control plus G triggers Switch To. To shut a company securely, you're going to use Control plus F3, and finally F11 opens your company features, while F12 opens configuration. Now, Alt plus G and Control plus G might sound super similar, but they do entirely different things, which actually leads us perfectly into our next section.
Section 2, Go To versus Switch To. This is arguably the single most frequently tested and, honestly, easily confused navigation concept in all of Tally Prime.
Let's put them head to head. So both of these shortcuts let you navigate freely around the software. But here's the golden rule you need to remember. Go To, which is Alt plus G, allows you to pause what you're doing, open a totally new report, and then resume your previous task exactly where you left off. Switch To, which is Control plus G, completely terminates or closes your current task. If you press Escape after Switch To, you go right back to the gateway of Tally, not to your unfinished work.
Let's see how this plays out in practice with a few go-to scenarios. Imagine Mr. Bhushan is entering a traveling expense voucher and suddenly realizes, hey, I need a new cost center, mid-entry. He just uses Alt plus G to go create it. When he's done, his half-finished voucher is still right there waiting for him. The same logic applies for Mrs. Divya altering a ledger mid-voucher or checking a stock summary right during an entry. Go To is all about pausing without losing an ounce of progress.
Now, contrast that with these Switch To scenarios and really notice the difference here. Mr. Bhushan finishes his sales entries. He doesn't need to pause anything. He's completely done. So he hits Control plus G to switch to the daybook. Or think about CA Vinay, who finishes auditing and uses Switch to open up the balance sheet. In these cases, they are deliberately ending their current task to navigate somewhere entirely new.
Section 3, Company Creation and Configuration. Now that we know how to navigate the space, let's look at the exact steps to build that foundational repository we talked about a minute ago.
Setting up a company is actually pretty straightforward, but it's highly systematic. Step 1. From the Select Company screen, you just click Create. Step 2. Enter your essential details. But do not miss Step 3. Before you start plugging in data, make sure you press F12 for Configuration. This lets you set vital preferences, like user access control, right from the very start.
When you're creating a company, examiners love to test you on a few very specific fields. First, the data path defaults to the D drive. You generally want to keep it there for easy recovery. Second, the country field. Watch out for this trap. Tally auto-picks your base currency based on the country. If you accidentally select Dubai as your state but completely forget to set the country to UAE, you are going to mess up your base currency symbol. So always pick the country carefully. Finally, your financial year from date defaults based on your computer's system date and the selected country. Once your company is created, how do you manage it?
Well, to alter details, you go to the top menu, click K for company, and then alter. To close it, go back to that top menu, hit K for company, and click Shut. And remember that awesome shortcut from earlier? You can just press Ctrl plus F3 to shut a company securely from literally anywhere in the software.
Moving right along to Section 4, F11 Features and Management. This is where Tally hides all of its truly powerful, advanced capabilities. Tally Prime is an incredibly robust piece of software, but if they showed you every single feature all at once, the screen would be totally overwhelming. So their design philosophy is simple. Only the absolute essential features are enabled by default. Everything else is neatly tucked away. To activate more of those advanced tools, you have to press F11 to open up your company features.
When you do hit F11, you'll see a menu organized into specific functional groups. It's a great idea to build a mental map of this for the exam. You've got your accounting features for things like cost centers and inventory for batches or price levels. Then you have taxation for GST, online access for remote syncing, payroll, and finally an others category for all your miscellaneous settings.
Let's look at a heavily tested example, activating GST. From the F11 menu, you set Enable GST to Yes. Then click More Details and open up your PAN/SIN details. Now, here is a massive pro tip for your exam. You enter the company PAN, but do not enter the corporate identity number, or SIN, unless it is specifically applicable. Just skip it. Finally, hit Ctrl plus A to save immediately without having to tab through every single field.
Section 5, Essential Exam Practice Review. All right, let's put everything we just covered to the test. We're going to run through a quick pop quiz featuring real questions you are very likely to see. Let's do this.
Question 1. True or false? Tally Prime requires the user to know software codes to function effectively. Take a second. Think back to the core design philosophy we discussed earlier. The answer is absolutely false. A major selling point of the software and a really key exam fact is that Tally Prime is entirely code-free. It relies strictly on menus, master names, and those brilliant keyboard shortcuts we've been drilling today.
Question 2. Which specific shortcut lets you navigate from anywhere to anywhere in the software flexibly, all while preserving your current unfinished work?
The answer is G for Go To, or Alt plus G. Remember, it's the ultimate flexible tool that basically pauses your screen so you can navigate anywhere and then seamlessly jump right back.
You've totally mastered the interface, company creation, F11 features, and those critical shortcuts. But, theory is only half the battle. Now that you know exactly how to navigate without ever losing your progress, I want you to really think about this. How will you strategically use the Go To versus Switch To functions in your very next real-world accounting task to save yourself hours of time? Keep that in mind as you ace your exams. Best of luck on your revision and keep learning.